Right, guys, am I back? Oh, you're kidding me. You're fucking kidding me. Right, so could anyone out there confirm whether I'm alive? This is an absolute disaster. Basically, if anyone's listening, my electric went out. Absolutely great. Absolutely fantastic. My electricity went out. Oh, so frustrating. Yes, I have missed a few minutes of what's been going on. So I'm going to quickly, guys, before I do anything, before I update the order or do anything like that, I'm going to quickly resend out links. Because I believe... I'm going to quickly resend links out for this stream because I believe everyone has now left, which is really unfortunate because we were rolling there. And then, yeah, my electricity went out as we've got a Red Bull in the wall at the final corner. But let me just quickly update, or not update the order, but let me quickly just send out a message, guys. Sorry about this. Very, very sorry about this. I really should have honestly checked to see if we did have electricity or enough electricity for it not to go out, but that's the way, you know, that's the way things are sometimes. Right. Yeah, again, guys, sorry about that, but what can you do? Sorry about that mistake. But, so, guys, as the session, by the way, has been stopped, it is, who is it? It's Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, who has really backed it in bad to the final corner. But, yeah, can anyone who is watching, can you please let me know if we're actually live or not, and you guys can hear me? Because that would be greatly appreciated if you could tell me whether we are live or not. So yeah, let me just send this Twitter link out again. I'll make sure, guys, by the way, this doesn't happen again. I'll make sure it does not happen again. So let me just hold on a minute. Send out a tweet. Again, I'll update the order when I can. I just, you know, obviously the stream's just gone out, so I need to deal with that first. That is more important. Right. So, hold on a minute. Let me just quickly send that on Discord. And then we should be back, hopefully, to normal. Again, guys, I'm so sorry that happened. Basically, again, electricity went out soon as I was rolling there. So frustrating. Right, so let me quickly update the order. Now that I've missed, what, 5 minutes, I believe I was off for? Which is, it's not massive, but it is a long time in streaming world, 5 minutes. So you got Grosjean 5th, Vettel 6th, then Verstappen in P7, then Norris. Who else have you got? Kevin Magnussen P9. By the way, we currently do have a red flag because of Max Verstappen has crashed at the final corner. Again, if you're wondering why my stream cut off, again, my electricity went out. Totally my fault. I should have made sure that it was all sorted out before. So, yeah, completely my fault. Sorry about that, guys, but at least it didn't happen during a race. And it's only practice, which I guess is not a horribly bad thing, but it is still not that great. So Stroll was 15th, and it's Ricciardo, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Russell, Kubica. So yeah, if anyone is watching, can you please again let me know if you can whether I am absolutely live or not, because I don't know, I can't actually see the chat right now, which is really frustrating. It says I'm disconnected. And yeah, I can't see the chat right now, so that is annoying. So because I can't see the chat, guys, I am gonna have to just watch the session and continue as it is. So yeah, again, if anyone's joining that was here earlier and is wondering why the stream has restarted, it's because, yeah, my electricity went out about, how many minutes ago? 7, 8 minutes ago went out. By the way, sorry if you heard me getting very angry. You can understand why. You know, if you're streaming and your electricity goes out and your stream stops, you're not exactly going to be happy. So sorry if you heard me being a bit angry, but yeah. But we have about 90 people back watching. So hold on a minute. Let me see if I can try and reconnect this chat. Doesn't appear I can do so right now. So guys, if you are watching, again, oh, there you go. Right, we're back. Right, let me look. Let me just look at some comments here. So yeah, just updating you guys. Yeah, electricity went out. It was only brief. In reality, it was what, 4 or 5 minutes? But obviously we have lost quite a few viewers. We're down to, how many? What, 90 odd, when we were about, what, 220. So of course that is a massive shame, but the only plus, I guess, is that it's only practice. But I'll start reading your comments out now, as we are now in a red flag period with 48 minutes to go. Max Verstappen, I don't know how, but Max Verstappen has crashed at the final corner and took the rear wing and one of his rear tyres off. Or not fully off, but, you know, it's hanging from the wheel tethers. So that's why I am not currently really commentating on what's going on, because, and I'll show you now actually, let me get a picture of it, of Max Verstappen's tyre and rear wing off. So let me just get this up for you guys. And then I'll start reading out some of your comments whilst we get ready for the resumption of practice 2. So there you go. That is the Red Bull of Verstappen. There's a rear tyre, and the rear wing you can kind of see there is, yeah, completely destroyed. So he will not be out until tomorrow morning in practice 3. Right, let me take a look at some comments. By the way, if you're wondering why I keep asking I was live again, my the chat on my end disconnected because of course I didn't have an internet connection to connect to. So yeah, Jordy, I had some Renault unreliability. My computer's powered by Renault. Finley says Sky cut off when you criticised them. It was, wasn't it? It cut off as I was saying, let's get away from this and get back to the action. Sky have they've come back to haunt me there. Right, let me find some. Right, so we are back then. Absolutely. Again, sorry guys, it won't happen again. Guarantee you it will not happen again. This type of thing, I will say, was bound to happen eventually. But, you know, these things happen. You know, mistakes happen. Issues happen. Same thing with F1 cars. You know, the Mercedes F1 car doesn't run perfectly every time it goes on track. Sometimes it has reliability issues. Most of the time it's fine, but issues happen. That's just the way the world is. So, again, sorry about that, but hopefully I wasn't too long away. And yeah, for qualifying in the race, that definitely will not happen again. Right, so we've got most people now as the session is back underway. We now have not everyone, but most people on an outlap on the soft compound tyre trying to do now their qualifying simulation with 45 minutes to go in practice 2. So Lewis Hamilton is currently in second. He's on a lap, but I don't think this is improving his time so far. Well, it is now. He's a 10.5 up on Valtteri Bottas. And he now turns in as a yellow flag. Oh, it's Bottas! Bottas is crashed out, and I think that red flag has come out. Valtteri Bottas has crashed, and I think the exit of turn 6. That is a very badly damaged Mercedes, and that was a big crash for Valtteri Bottas. A red flag out again. Yeah, that's a horrible crash. Look at that on the TV. 2 front tyres hanging on only just. So, Bottas in the wall. We'll have to see what happened. I'm assuming he turned in, got oversteer, and went to the wall. So, now let's see. So, yeah, turns in, and as I thought, oversteer, tried to correct it, but went straight to the scene of the accident. And as I just said, guys, even with Mercedes, bad things happen. So that kind of explains, you know, my whole theory of eventually stuff is bound to go wrong, no matter how great you are. Like my stream coming off. But yeah, Bottas, 2 front tyres absolutely destroyed. His front suspension on both sides will now be completely destroyed as well. That's a big crash on the front end. I don't think that'll affect the power unit or the gearbox, but that will require quite a lengthy repair. That's going to take a few hours at least to repair that car. And that is, yeah, that's quite a big crash compared to what you see normally these days. You'd have those crashes back in the day quite a bit, but these days, those types of crashes are not very common. So, yeah, big crash there. Yeah, red flag is out with 42.5 minutes to go. And it is good to see now we are starting to get people back now. So that is good to see. By the way, with Valtteri Bottas and his crash, I will post a picture of the crash in just a moment. Just want to wait to see when it pops up on Twitter, and then I'll get it on the screen for you guys to show you the damage of his car. As his car is now being put away behind the barriers by a tractor. So the session will be underway pretty soon, I think. And I think, by the way, Max Verstappen had kind of a similar issue. So, drivers are struggling today, no doubt about it. We've seen plenty of drivers turning into corners. I don't know if it's windy or not, but it doesn't look windy. It looks absolutely dead still. But we've seen plenty of drivers turning into a corner, expecting more grip, and then getting a ton of oversteer, and either going off the track and getting back on or crashing, as Bottas did here at turn 6. Turned in, got oversteered, tried to correct it, but when you're in the gravel trap, there is nowhere else to go but into the barriers. And yeah, very big crash there on the front. Han Solo engineer Chaza has just left this practice session for Verstappen. Well, then there is no point in going on. I'll just put it in the wall. Yeah, he made sure to give me something to come back on. Absolutely. Right, let me... Gross H, how was the crash? Show us. I am awaiting the picture. I will show the car after it hit the barrier in just a moment. Just waiting for the picture on Twitter to pop up, and then I will show it to you guys. So yeah, give it another 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 at most, and it'll be on the screen. Absolutely, it'll be the next picture on this stream. Mike Post says that Max complained about the wind just before the crash. It must be wind. It must be, because the drivers, lots of drivers today have been turning in again, and there's been, and yeah, you can see it on the flags on the TV in the distance look a bit blustery, but lots of times today drivers have pointed the car in and the rear end has gone round, and that can only mean that it's very windy. That's all it can mean, because the cars are not that unstable. I mean, they're not like cars from the 90s or anything where they were aerodynamically not that stable, even though they were very, monstrous cars. They weren't that stable. They are very stable cars, these 2019 Formula 1 cars, but also these drivers are very good. They're not going to turn into a corner, as quick as they are if they don't think there is is grip there. So it must be wind. That's the only thing that can explain it. Right, let me find some other comments as we've now gone to an ad break, because we still have, unfortunately, a red flag. Let me just see if I can find the Bottas crash picture. And no, not at the moment, but it will be coming very soon, guys. The next picture on the screen will be the accident damage of Valtteri Bottas's car. And yep, here you go. I've got it. So let me get it on screen. And by the way, for anyone who is watching this later on after the stream is finished, please remember that if there is another Practice 2 watch-along video out there that is mine, that is the first part of the stream that was, running fine up until I ran out of electric, unfortunately. So please remember that. I'll make sure to post a comment saying, what happened. So I'm guessing you'll have to watch it in 2 parts if you want to watch the whole thing. But don't worry, it won't happen again. But there you go, Valtteri Bottas crashed out at the exit of turn number 6. Right, let me find some other comments here. Richard says, just seeing that position again is brutal. It is. Right, let me find some others here. Mickey Morris, wow, Bottas and Verstappen crashed out. What were they drinking? Again, I think it is the wind. I don't think the drivers are necessarily... I mean, they are pushing as hard as they can, and maybe at times they are pushing a bit too hard, but with the wind at times, you don't necessarily know what the wind is going to do, so you don't necessarily know what the grip is going to be at a certain corner. But, and yeah, Doom Records says, or Doom Room Records rather, says, Red Bull Mercedes mechanics will be working, or will be happy to work up to 3 AM tonight. Yeah, looks as though it's going to be that kind of day. It's going to take a long time to fix Bottas's car. Verstappen's car, it will take a bit of time to fix, but it won't be as hard to fix, I think, as Bottas's, because Bottas's has more damage. The only thing they've got to really worry about on Max Verstappen's car is, did it damage the gearbox or the power unit? Because of course, if you go in rear end first into the barriers, that really can send a shockwave through the car and really damage the car. So they've got to make sure there's no damage there. Right, let me find some other comments here. As we are, by the way, back underway in practice 2, 35 minutes to go. And now the drivers can finally get underway with their qualifying simulations, because they've been unable to do that for what, 20 minutes now? 20 minutes ago, the drivers were hoping to start these runs, but now they've got to rush and get them done, because also they've got to get in a bit of time to do a race simulation as well, because race pace is going to be very, very important this weekend. As Sebastian Vettel on the soft compound tyres now comes around the final corner and starts his flying lap. So let's see, and here comes Charles Leclerc, DRS open. He starts his lap. Lewis Hamilton is about to as well. So the two Ferraris are on their first proper qualifying sim. Let's see what Charles Leclerc can do. Car through turn 1 looks fine. Not great, but fine. DRS wide open. Comes up to turn 3. 3 tenths up on Bottas already. Leclerc, though, goes a bit wide. That really shows you why the Ferrari in terms of downforce is not that good, because he should have been really tighter to the apex there. Kind of at that corner, turn 4 as well. But so far, this looks a good lap for Charles Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel half a second up on Bottas. Leclerc even faster, about 6.5 tenths up on Bottas. Here comes Sebastian Vettel into the final corner. Oh, big spin. He's in the barrier, surely. No, he's in the gravel. Can he get out of there, though? But Vettel, again, same thing. The wind, I think, causing massive oversteer in the final corner. As Charles Leclerc goes fastest. But that was a very scary moment for Sebastian Vettel. He's lucky he didn't hit the barrier, because that was a terrifying moment, especially for Ferrari. And yet, turns in, oversteered because of the wind, and was moments away from crashing into the barrier. If he was going any faster, then he would have hit the barrier for sure. And it's simply because he turned in expecting grip, but because of the wind, he spun. So Vettel, very, very lucky there not to hit the barriers. So there you go. I'll get a picture, by the way, on screen, guys, of that spin of Sebastian Vettel very soon. Here's a replay on board. Just no grip at all on the rear end. Turned in and was oversteering even when he slightly turned the wheel into the corner. And now Vettel, I think, has a tyre delamination on the front tyres and now is cruising back really, really slowly. But we do have some new positions in the order, which I can quickly change around. So Leclerc is top. Then it's Bottas second, Hamilton third, and then it is Sainz in P4. And then you've got Gasly now up to P8. That's more like it. And P9 is Lando Norris. P10 is Kevin Magnussen. And then P11, I believe, is, for the moment, Sergio Perez. And at the moment, we're not seeing what the other times are, unfortunately. So I can't update the rest of the order right now. But I will in a moment. I think Albon is in P... I'm pretty sure Albon is P12. And then it's Kvyat in P13. And then it is Raikkonen in P14. P15 is Giovinazzi, and then it is Stroll, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg. Again, I'll update the order if it changes around, which it will in just a moment. As there's a Renault coming through the final corner. Yep, half an hour to go in practice 2. As we're seeing currently replays of the other crashes. Bottas, Vettel, Verstappen. Verstappen's accident happened later on in the corner. He actually got halfway into the corner and then he spun around. Vettel didn't even get into the middle of the corner or even to the apex. As soon as he turned the wheel, the car spun round. So, yeah, very unstable, you have to say, as Pierre Gasly has gone 3rd. So let me update that. Gasly is 3rd, and then Hamilton is down to 4th. 5th is Carlos Sainz, and then 6th is Romain Grosjean. Grosjean looking good today for once. Normally he's absolutely terrible and complaining all the time, but seems as though today he is doing a bit better. Also, interesting to note that he actually attended that tyre meeting this morning, which is a bit weird to me because I didn't think he'd be the type of person that'd be interested in that sort of stuff, but he clearly felt he needed to attend and give his opinion. Raikkonen is 13th. You got Giovinazzi in 14th. Kvyat is P15 for Toro Rosso, and then it is Ricciardo, Hülkenberg 16th and 17th, and then Stroll is 18th. By the way, I don't know why, but Renault are really slow at the moment. I haven't seen enough of them today, but Renault don't look that quick. They really don't look that quick. But right, I'll just quickly, guys, take a drinks break, and then I'll come right back to it. Right, so here we are back as we are 28 minutes away from the end of the session, as we're currently looking at Lewis Hamilton behind another car. I believe it's a Toro Rosso ahead of him. I don't think Lewis Hamilton is on a quali run because he wouldn't be, I don't think, necessarily pushing if he was in traffic. I think it's a Haas actually of Grosjean. Yeah, I think it's Grosjean. I'm not sure though 100%. As Kimi Raikkonen goes P7. Let me just see what Gasly does here first before I update that. But yeah, Raikkonen P7. Alpha don't look too bad if they can be in that type of position. Here comes Gasly into the final corner. Opens the DRS. And Gasly, is he on a race run? I think he is, because he's 5 laps into this run. But Kimi Raikkonen is up to P7. And then 8th and 9th, Vettel and Verstappen. Vettel will come out again, but it won't be for probably 10 or 15 minutes, honestly, because he'll want to make sure the car is absolutely fine before he goes out again. Here is a replay of, I believe, Kimi Raikkonen at the final corner and goes off the track but doesn't damage his car, which is interesting. But yeah, so Magnussen is 11th, and then it's Perez in 12th, and Alexander Albon is 13th for the Toro Rosso squad. So the current order that you're seeing along the bottom of your screen is the live order with 25 minutes to go in practice 2. By the way, if you were around earlier and you're wondering why the stream cut off, it's because my electricity cut off. Only for, what, 5 minutes? But that is unfortunately just the way it is. Of course, mistakes happen, but I can promise you that will not happen again. But yeah, if you are wondering why we, cut off, that's why we did so. We are back, which is good, but of course it is disappointing to lose all the people that were watching in the first place, and also it will make it a bit of a mess later on with the streams, because there will be a practice 2 watch along stream, which is the whole stream up until the moment of the electricity going out, and then of course when I came back. So sorry about that, but again, I promise it won't happen. As we're currently seeing Lewis Hamilton on a lap, but I don't think it's a quali sim. I think it's a race sim. I think it's a race simulation lap with 25 minutes left. And yes, it is. It's a race sim from Lewis Hamilton. So everyone now, I think, are going to start finding out how are the tyres around this extremely hot track this weekend. By the way, currently at the Red Bull Ring, it's about 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, and the track temperature is about 52 to 53. On race day, it's going to be just as hot, if not hotter. So, again, just like the race in Paul Ricard, tyres are going to be very, very important. So anyone starting on the softest compound for the race will basically struggle on race day. They won't go forward from where they start, because that compound is going to be a terrible compound to start on for the race, even though this track is not that bad for tyre wear, especially compared to Paul Ricard. Paul Ricard is a worse track for tyre wear, but these tyres, I've noticed, ever since Pirelli have come into Formula 1, the hotter the temperature, the worse the tyre wear is. So the hotter it is, the worse those soft compound tyres that Lewis Hamilton has on right now on his race sim, the worse those tyres will be. So you will want to start on the set of medium tyres if you're starting in the top 10, and then go to the hard compound, say switching to the hard compound around lap, I don't know, 25 to 30. If you do start in the medium, but if you start in the soft, then you're going to be pitting probably lap 15 at the latest. As we're currently watching Sergio Perez on his race sim. And the Racing Point looks not great, but it doesn't look as bad as maybe we're making out at times. But it's definitely not a car that's going to be competing at the front of the midfield. No doubt about that. It's not that type of car. Race pace wise, yeah, they're up there, but it just isn't that, good enough of a car. And here is, who's that? Robert Kubica in the Williams, who is currently last of all. Williams with George Russell are not too far off. But with Kubica, of course, they are miles off. But Russell, not that far off the two Renaults and Lance Stroll, only about half a second. So Russell looking pretty good, and that's no surprise, because Russell, I believe, won here in GP3 and Formula 2. This is one of, if not his best circuit on the calendar. So you would expect Russell to be closer to the midfield runners than he would be at a track like, I don't know, Canada or something like that. Richard Leong says qualifying on soft's bad for the race. As I said, absolutely it will be. I think if you start on the soft compound, you're not going to improve or progress during the race. If you're going to progress during the race, you've got to be on the medium or the hard to start the race with. And I think what you will see is definitely Ferrari and Mercedes will try to qualify on the medium, and they will get through on the medium because they do have a quick enough car. But Red Bull won't have that luxury. They won't. So Red Bull, you can count out for a podium because they'll be starting on dead tyres compared to, again, the two Mercedes and Ferrari cars. And if another midfield runner, say like in France, can get on that medium compound to start with and start in the top 10, then they're looking very good for the race. They're looking very good. But if you're starting on the soft tyre, then you are in for a struggle, because you're going to have to pit earlier than you would want to, probably 10 to 15 laps earlier than you'd want to, and you're going to have to carry the hard compound tyre most likely to the end and carry that tyre about, again, 10 to 15 laps longer than you would actually want to. So the preferred strategy for race day is medium to hard. Medium would probably do 30 laps and then pit on lap 30 for a set of hard tyres, and you would easily get to the end. Another 40 laps on the hard compound tyres. Right, let me find some other comments. Trotter says, hottest day ever I heard in France. It has been very, very hot in Europe. It's been very hot where I am in the UK. It's hot everywhere right now in Europe. It's record breaking in some places. And I think this would be, to my memory, the hottest Austrian Grand Prix of all time. We have had races in Austria where it has been very sunny, especially on race day, but never like plus 30. Maybe if we had plus 30, maybe it's only been for a day, but not for an entire weekend. This entire weekend in Austria is going to be very, very hot. And again, that will kill the tyres. Right, let me find some other comments here. Sunday will be 33 degrees Celsius, says Jordi. Well, again, that is extremely hot, and that's not what the tyres want. What the tyres preferably want is overcast conditions, but not too cold, but not too warm. Say, I don't know, 20 to 25 degrees air temperature is good for them. But yeah, once you start getting into, in terms of air temperature, once you go say plus 25 or higher, then the harder the compound of tyre you go for, the better your result will be, because the softer the compound with the current Pirelli tyres, the worse they perform in the heat. These tyres are very sensitive to heat, very sensitive, when it comes to warming them up and also when it comes to tyre wear. Because I've noticed that these tyres, they don't wear out actually that much, but the thing that affects them again is the heat. It's not necessarily the wear. For example, back in 2011, 2012 and 2013, the reason we had so many pit stops was because we would have, like we have now, overheating of tyres, but we also had tyres that would wear out naturally a lot. So combined with those two factors, you would get 2 to 3 stops a race. But now, because we don't really see tyres that actually wear out that much, and they only wear or, get degraded because of heat, that's what is creating one-stop races, because, again, they don't wear out massively, and you just got to manage the overheating of the tyres rather than the wear of them. By the way, there you go. That is Sebastian Vettel when he spun off at the final corner. There you go. And I've now got to quickly update the order, because we have Nico Hülkenberg in P16. But still, I want to see what tyres Renault are on, but they're not quick. They're really not quick. 16th and 17th. Last time they were like that was it Spain or Monaco? Were they like that in practice too? I can't remember for sure, but there was another practice session this season where they were down. I think it was maybe Baku where they were down in that position. Hopefully for them that doesn't happen again. By the way, Lewis Hamilton, if you're wondering why he's P4, it's because he was unable to do a proper fast lap time on anything softer than the hard compound tyre. Yes, that is right. He's P4 on the hardest compound of tyre. So looking pretty ominous if he can get the grip and pace out the tyres. But, right, let me look at some more comments. And as Francisco says, and it is true, Vettel is back on the hard tyres as he is doing a race sim with 15 minutes to go. Let me just look for some more comments as we see Vettel closely following a Williams of Russell. Right, let me find some other comments. Serugara says, Arriva Bene saw an improvement in the form of the team, but Binotto is destroying the foundation. Arriva Bene left, Binotto out. Yeah, I agree. People might sound too harsh, but where have Ferrari, except for the power unit, and I'll agree, the power unit side Ferrari are still very, very good and have probably improved slightly in that area compared to last year. But where have Ferrari as a team improved? They haven't. They haven't improved. They've gone backwards in basically, except for the power unit side, they've gone backwards in every area. So that's why for me, Binotto, I don't think should necessarily be sacked. I think he should be given time, but I don't think in the long run he will be the answer to what Ferrari is trying to achieve. I don't think Ferrari are ever going to win a world championship with Matteo Binotto as their team principal. I just don't see it because he doesn't have the personality and character to lead a team like Ferrari forward, which I think has been proven so far because he doesn't have that strong head to lead a team like Ferrari. And even though technically he is very smart and does deserve credit, he also has been responsible in the past for Ferrari's lack of or bad development over the course of a season. So I think Binotto in the long run won't be good enough, but let's give him time to prove me wrong. But again, I don't think he will really prove me wrong at all. As we're seeing Pierre Gasly on the circuit. Is he doing a quali run? Let's see. No, he's on a race sim on the soft compound tyre with 12 and a half minutes to go. Francisco asks, do you think Max and Valtteri will need to switch some components? Max might have to. Valtteri, I don't think so. I think Valtteri, his car will be fine because it went in at the front. If you go in rear end first, it really does, again, send a shockwave through the car. And that does sometimes cause damage to the power unit or the gearbox. So Verstappen is at risk, but I don't think Valtteri Bottas is. But and by the way, Christian Horner has confirmed that wind was a factor in Max Verstappen's crash, and I think we can also say the same for Valtteri Bottas's and also Sebastian Vettel's. Wind is definitely an issue today, but I don't think necessarily it'll be as big of an issue as the weekend goes on. As here is Daniel Ricciardo on a set of soft compound tyres. He's currently P17. I don't think, though, he will be trying to do a quali sim at this time because he needs to get some data for the race. And yet he's definitely not doing a quali sim as he's about 3.5 seconds off in the middle sector. But if you look at the field in terms of lap time, top two teams, Ferrari and Mercedes, are clearly, in the front four positions. But after that, in terms of qualifying, it's very, very close. Red Bull, I know Max Verstappen definitely could have and would have improved, but I don't think Red Bull are too far ahead of teams like McLaren, Alfa Romeo, maybe Renault if they, can go faster. Red Bull are not looking too far ahead of that midfield, so definitely look out for that tomorrow in qualifying. Wissam asks what happened with Max. He crashed at the final corner. He turned into the final corner, and then in the middle of the corner, because of the wind, it caused oversteer, and he spun and hit the barrier rear end first, and of course is out of the session. And if you missed about Valtteri Bottas, he also crashed, basically the same but at a different corner. Valtteri got oversteer again because of the wind at turn 6 and went into the barriers on the far right, and he is also out of this session as we do now have 10 minutes to go. Gina says Norris was 1 second faster than Gasly last lap, or am I seeing wrong? This is the thing though, on the TV coverage of practice 2, I can't see that, so I don't know what is necessarily going on. If you could tell me what tyres Lando Norris is on, that could help, because if he's on the medium, that could explain why. Because maybe Gasly's tyres have gone already. As we're seeing a replay of Grosjean locking up at turn 3 and going off the circuit almost. Yep, locking the inside front tyre and going not off the track, but definitely offline. Francisco asks, is Bottas on the old engine? Yes, he is. Because if you guys don't know, this morning before practice 1, Mercedes found an oil leak on the new engine that, of course, Valtteri Bottas wants to use. So today, he's using the old one. Now, I don't know if he's going to be using the old one for the rest of the weekend, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, for his sake, he gets to use the new one, because with this heat, I think Valtteri is prone to a reliability issue with this heat, because an old engine with the heat we're seeing right now, that really could be trouble for him in the race. Is McLaren off, Carlos Sainz at turn 6, and it was a wind again. He turned in, got slight oversteer, but nicely corrected it and went off the circuit, but has got back on circuit. Is a very difficult set of conditions at the track at the moment. And here's a replay of Sainz, and yeah, he turned in, same as Bottas, but happened slightly earlier. Turned in, got oversteer, but was able to slow right down through the gravel so he didn't go into the barriers. And that is a clear demonstration of how the wind has affected the drivers today, no doubt about it. Remy Daniels says, I think Ferrari have a good race car this weekend, but all depends now on qualifying. That's where they seem to mess up. I disagree. If you look at this season, yes, of course, Leclerc had his thing in Monaco and Vettel had his thing in France. But if you look at this season, Ferrari, their best results have come on Saturdays rather than the Sunday. Sunday's normally been the day where they've messed things up. So I think if Ferrari are going to win this weekend, it's pretty simple, as Leclerc and Giovinazzi made contact at turn 3 as Leclerc went down the inside. Don't know if Antonio saw him or not, but that was a bit weird that Antonio turned in. Let's see. So Antonio, yeah, I think Antonio last second saw him, but he didn't know he was there before he saw him right to the right of him. But yeah, if Ferrari want to win this weekend, they've got to get pole at least. They at least have to get pole position. Ideally for them, it needs to be a front row lockout, but if they get pole, then they've got, say, I don't know, a 40 to 50% chance of winning. And the reason I say that in an ideal situation they need a front row lockout is because Mercedes' race pace is always better than Ferrari's race pace. So they need to protect who's ever in the lead, if they can, from the fast Mercedes cars on race day. So again, for Ferrari, this weekend, it's really all about qualifying. If they can get qualifying absolutely right and get the most out of their car, then they could win. They could win. But I will say that if Mercedes lock out the front row, then there is absolutely no chance of Ferrari winning. No chance at all, because their race pace will be too bad. If Mercedes get, say, a car on pole and then there's a Ferrari in second, then maybe at the start a Ferrari can get into the lead, but I would still favour Mercedes quite strongly in that situation. So yeah, Ferrari, it's all about qualifying. If they get that right, I think they're in for a good weekend. But let me read out some other comments. Eddie Webster says or asks, Bottas having an old engine, is there a possible penalty? I don't think so, because the reason the drivers get penalties, I believe, is because they're adding new parts to the power unit. If you go back to something old compared to the new thing that you should be on, then I don't believe that is a penalty. But if you start putting new parts on your power unit that exceed the limits of parts you can have when it comes to different parts of the power unit, such as the MGU-K, the MGU-H, the ICE, the turbo. Once you start exceeding the amount of parts you can have on those certain parts of the power unit, that's when you start getting penalties. And that's why Carlos Sainz and Alexander Albon this weekend have grid penalties, because they've exceeded the limitations of certain parts of the power unit. Valtteri Bottas, by going back to the old one, would not have incurred a penalty, as we're seeing a replay of Bottas crashing earlier on. And yeah, a couple of people saying would be great to see Ferrari up top. It would. Again, I don't care who wins. I really don't care who wins the race. But if we can have more than one team racing for the win, then that would be great. And that would be great for everyone. And I think if you look at this season, whenever we've had more than one team going for the win, which is Bahrain, Monaco and Canada, we've had good races. So if we have that this weekend, we're in for a good race. It's pretty simple. And I think also, if Ferrari can improve their car, which I don't think they will, over the course of 2019, then I think the races in terms of entertainment will improve. But again, I don't think Ferrari are going to improve their car, because they brought a new front wing and a new floor to the last race in France, and they were no closer to Mercedes. They were no further off, but they were no closer. So they haven't actually made any progress. As Perez and Gasly, they're going wheel to wheel on the exit of turn 3, and Perez completing the overtake? I don't know. But yeah, as I've said, whenever we have more than one team absolutely going for the win, we have had good racing this season. You cannot doubt that. So if Ferrari can be right up there, then we are looking at, I think, a good race on Sunday. But at the moment, if you look at the practice times, with a minute and a half to go in practice 2, I'm not sure yet if Ferrari, after watching practice 2, I know it has been a bit of a weird session because of the wind and people crashing and interrupting the flow of the session. I'm not sure whether Ferrari do have a car for pole, but I think, again, because of the wind and because of the session being interrupted as much as it has been, that might be a reason why we haven't seen Ferrari show absolutely everything they can. So I'm sure tomorrow we'll see whether they have what it takes to get pole position. Yeah, we're coming up now to the end of practice 2. As Leclerc there running wide at turn 3, I believe that is. The Ferrari again, no real surprise, has really bad understeer. Kvyat losing the rear end of treat at the final corner, but doesn't crash, does run slightly wide. And practice 2 is about to come to a close. As there you go, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you go. And let me update the text. FP2, practice 2 has finished here at the Red Bull Ring. And we have had an interesting session. Of course, we've had the top drivers really being pushed very, very hard today. And it looks as though these cars are not too easy to drive this weekend. Sebastian Vettel, as you can see on the screen, spinning off earlier on. Max Verstappen crashing out at the final corner, and Valtteri Bottas binning it at turn 6. So it's not too easy for the drivers out there, and that's of course what we want to see. But in terms of the order, what can we expect for qualifying? Well, for Mercedes, I think right now you'd have to say they are probably the favourites, but I think Ferrari are going to be right there. And for Ferrari, I think as long as they can have a clean session tomorrow, they should be at the absolute worst 3rd and 4th, but they really should be getting a car onto the front row, honestly. For Red Bull, I think they are going to be 3rd fastest, but I think they will be under threat from McLaren, Renault, if Renault do improve, of course. But yeah, Red Bull not looking that great. Renault, I want to see why they were so slow today in terms of the lap time. Maybe it's because of the tyres and they weren't using that many new sets of tyres or the softest compound. But yeah, I want to see why Renault was so slow today. I think, honestly, Renault will improve. Maybe not massively, but I think Renault will definitely be up the order quite a bit. McLaren, to me, look to be the fastest midfield team, which is not a surprise. It really is not a surprise. Alfa Romeo look, I think, pretty good. I think Kimi Raikkonen's definitely a person to look out for tomorrow in qualifying for getting into the top 10. Who else do we have? Haas. Haas don't look too bad so far. They might actually be in the top 10 tomorrow, but I'm not going to bet on it. And then, of course, you have Toro Rosso, who I think today have had a good day. I think where they are finishing for practice 2, which I believe is P13 and P15, I think that is honestly where you would expect them to be, because they don't quite, as an overall car, have enough speed to be in the top 10 like they would be at other circuits. Racing Point, with Perez, don't look too bad, but of course with Lance Stroll, not good at all. But Racing Point, I think, are likely to still have the worst car in the midfield. And of course, Williams will be at the very, very back. But guys, that is it for practice 2 here in Austria. And there you go, there's the end screen. Just want to say, guys, again, sorry about the electric cutting off. It is a shame, but again, it will not happen tomorrow or on Sunday. I can guarantee you that. And I just want to say, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, because we will be live tomorrow with a watch along of qualifying at 1 PM UK time. That's 1 hour before qualifying gets underway at the Red Bull Ring. So don't forget to subscribe and join us for that. Bottom right of the screen, you can subscribe right there, or click on my channel name, go to the homepage and subscribe, and of course hit the notifications bell. Smash this video with a like, of course, if you want to see content like this continue on this channel. As well, don't forget to comment down below what you thought of this video, and comment down below what do you think of the action so far, and do you think Ferrari can seriously challenge Mercedes this weekend? And also, I'll let you know in the comments again as to why there's 2 different streams and stuff like that. And also, don't forget to join my Discord, link below in the description. That is the best place for notifications of my videos and streams, and if there is any issues, again, it's a great place to go to find out what is going on. And is also the hardcore Chazza HDF1 community. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 to keep up to date with me and what's going on. And check out my website, chazzahd.com, for more content like this. But guys, until qualifying for the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix tomorrow at the Red Bull Ring, live on this channel at 1 PM UK time, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.